Hello, good morning, Claudia. You look great. You're perfectly aligned right now.
I'm going to say buongiorno, bella donna, because you just came back from Italia. So
Yes, I was practicing all my Italian. So it's hard to get back into the swing of things, but I'm happy that I planned a bunch this week to get back into coaching and see all your lovely faces. How have you been?
very well, thank you. Just, suffering here in Austin while some people are off in Italia. No, I just Vanessa. Never suffering in Austin because we love Austin. We love our local chapter, ICF Austin. It's one of the strongest, I think, of all the chapters around the nation. Of course, I don't know all the other ones, but
We're here.
We know that we're here and we're holding down everything. And I'm good. Everything's going well. It's a very busy time right now, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Getting to meet a lot of people and speak about coaching and listen to coaches and get to know people who are not coaches and what are their interests and just part of what we do, Vanessa. Don't you feel that you're always kind of wherever you are having a conversation? I'm thinking, what are their values? What are their wants? What are their desires?
Yeah.
Person, So it's exciting, a little crazy making sometimes throughout life if you're always thinking that way, but it's an exciting time.
I couldn't agree with you more. I do that all the time when I'm talking to somebody and I'm like, what motivated that behavior? What value is like in my mind? And then I'm like, all right, back to normal Vanessa, turn off the coach hat. But I love learning people's stories and really understanding them. And I feel like, my husband and I were just having this conversation last night talking about people and the way they do things. And he was like, it's because they're just that way. But then we went down the coaching realm of like, no, you can change. Everything changes. And it was like a really cool conversation about like, wait, if you approach it from a different lens, who knows?
Yeah.
But to that, recapping a little bit, I do want to say that, Claudia and Phil and I have been friends for a long time. We've met in person, but we did, recapping April, get together for brunch and we got to hang out and talk. And it was so lovely having brunch with you and Phil's wife and son. So that was a highlight of my April, and April really flew by. I can't believe it's already May. So we had a great we had a lot of things. I'm looking at the calendar and I'm like, man, it was jam packed. We had a lot of great sessions, a lot of great offerings. I was so busy in April. So I know the one that stands out for me was our virtual coaching conversation that we had. And we had Mark Wigington on there. And he has a company called Focusing on Results. So he presented on elevator pitches. And I found it fascinating. I was like, oh man, like the way that it was concise and clear, it was short, just so perfectly summed up in a way that I was like, why have I never learned it like this before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
but I know you have some.
Vanessa, he was so wonderful. You know what I want to do? It's right there. Grab my headphones. I think it's going to be better. So hold that thought real quick. They're right here. Great. He was just fantastic, as you said, to all of us. And then when I had a one-on-one with him, the way he absorbed everything that I was giving him and where I was and what I was hoping to get out of our call. And he got a great sense of me. So he was very present, picked up on a lot, active listening, the whole thing. And gave me some great tips, just some phenomenal tips on an elevator pitch, basically. And what to think about, the reminders. I mean, we all know this, but you need to be reminded. Hold on, let me just do this real quick. Sorry. No, we're real time. Okay.
Yeah.
We good? Can you still hear me, Vanessa?
Yep.
And I guess Phil can too. This will be better in the end. And so he just zeroed in on my my assets, my particular area of expertise, the passion that I have, which he would do with all of us, anyone, for what I'm doing, and was able to just zero in on certain points to highlight, to focus on when I am perhaps stuck with a pitch, or depending on where I am or who I'm speaking to, I have to fine tune it and adjust it, and not to be too wordy about it, to get really specific. So he was great. He was just such a supportive person.
Yeah. And that was so he offered to speak in the VCC, which those are virtual coaching conversations that are the second Friday. And I'm taking over, which we could talk about. But yeah, he offered to speak. And then to your point, he was like, if anybody needs extra help, reach out. And I thought that was so generous of him. So I'm going to set up some time with him as well. And I can't wait to see. I have a lot of really exciting conversations coming up in May, and I'm like, ooh, I need to get my pitch ready for those. But yes, the other big thing that happened in April was our elections.
Yay! So let me just say that I'm so excited that Vanessa and Phil. So Vanessa is our new director of the membership committee, which is so thrilling. She's going to fill in Phil's shoes. She's going to be her own director in a magnificent way. Very excited for you, Vanessa. And Phil Salonica is the new president of local chapter of ICF Austin, which is thrilling. Oh, here he is. There he is. Yay. So I'm very excited for both of these.
Making a cameo appearance on the podcast today, and not just in the producer seat, but
yes.
Yeah, really excited to take on this role. Really pumped that Vanessa is stepping up and taking the membership director role. I think the synergy that we've built as a committee over the past couple of months, I think it's just going to carry over beautifully into all the big exciting things we want to work on as a chapter in the coming year. So just really pumped.
Yeah. And who are the other? So pumped. Thank you, Phil. And who are the other two positions again, Vanessa?
Yeah, so Natalie Murray took over as the programs director, and Jacob Franzen is the new communications director, and that's everybody, right? So on the whole board, we have Alejandra Milky as the DEIB, we have Fred Richardson as outreach, and then the lovely Susan Corbin, who's actually our guest today. So
drum roll.
There she is. Hi, Susan. Hi. How are you doing today?
Good. Happy to be here.
Good to have you. So happy you're able to join us.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Susan, can I start by asking you how long you've been involved with ICF Austin?
Oh, let's see. I graduated from Coach U in 2004. And so I was a member off and on with the local chapter. Back then, it was much less structured than it is now. And so I was a member back then. And like I said, I've been in and out of the thing. And I guess I've been really active in the last 6 or 7 years.
Oh, great. You've seen changes.
So, yeah. So for the members that are listening, right, and this is a little selfishly as the new membership director, what has kept you coming back for more, right? Like, how do we get people to keep coming back and wanting more and more and more?
Well, the reason I joined is sometimes coaching is kind of solitary, and you're in your little office and you're doing all your stuff, and it's similar. I write also, and so it's similar to writing. It's a solitary process, and I am an extrovert, and I need interaction with people, and so that's why I just need the interaction. And I've been to the last 2 coaching conventions the TCC has put on, the Texas Coaching Coalition. Amazing people. I mean, I just think coaches are amazing people, and so funny. They will challenge you when you don't complain to a coach. Because they're going to say, well, asking you questions about it, and then you start talking, and then things happen, and you have to go do things, and
then they follow up with you and they hold you accountable, and you're like, oh man, I can't get off the hook. But
I know.
It's a great community to build.
There's just this most coaches are extraordinary, empathetic, and sweet, kind people, and I love hanging out with them.
Yes, and don't you find that you need a great sense of curiosity? I think awe also helps as a coach, but that's also why we're always so fascinated with people and that kind of humanitarian aspect of it, of really wanting to help.
Yes.
Yeah. And on that note of curiosity, I'd love to know your story. Tell us about you and how you got into coaching and all the fun stuff.
Yeah, well, I've got lots of years on me, so I'm not going to give you the whole story. So I'll start out with the coaching thing. When I was 40, I decided I wanted to go to grad school. I was working in a bioresearch lab on the UT campus, and I was bored to tears. And I didn't realize why. I know now it's because I'm an extrovert, and you know, a lab is just like writing and coaching. You're doing your own little thing. So I started taking classes, and I took some communication studies classes. And seriously, people research the thing I like to do best, which is talk. So I took some courses in undergrad classes there, and then I applied to the grad school and got admitted. And then I got my master's degree, and then I didn't know what to do with it. So what the heck? So I went and got the PhD. Didn't know what to do with that either, but the chair of the department offered me a job as their undergraduate academic advisor, and I took that and loved it. It was so much fun. And then I took the job as the graduate coordinator. And in the meantime, in the midst of all that, I had read an article in Newsweek about Thomas Leonard, who was one of the first people that made coaching kind of a thing, a profession. And he was talking about, you know, it's really great because you can be camping and you just talk to people on the phone and you can do your profession anywhere. And I loved it. And also the inner critic said, oh, you can never do that. And I believed it. But somewhere along the line, probably going to grad school and get these jobs that I love. And I went, you know, you might as well try. Couldn't hurt. You might like it. People might like you. Who knows? So I started taking courses through Coach U, and I must have been about 2000. And I've got my accreditation. Well, whatever. I graduated from Coach U and got accredited later. But so I'm working with grad students as my job, and I have coaching skills that I've learned through my coaching school. They need it. I have the thing I can give to them, and I just started offering it to the grad school students. You know, you've got this huge project. You've got a dissertation or you've got a thesis that you need to write. Would you like some accountability along the line? And some faculty members are wonderful dissertation advisors, and they keep their kids on, well, kids, they keep their students on track and all that kind of stuff. And some are just less hands-on. So some students need more help. And so I ended up coaching a boatload of grad students there. And it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And then in 2013, I retired, and I missed the students. I did not miss the bureaucratic stuff I had to do with admissions and with fellowships and all that stuff. But boy, I missed the students. So I just had a friend create a website, and I just started throwing my hat out there, and I started getting clients, and the rest is history. This is a lark for me. I don't have to do this. We don't need this as a profession or anything, but I just have fun, and I think my clients are getting something out of it. And so it's all fun. So that's how I got into coaching.
And Susan, what would you say, being a dissertation coach, how does that, working with students in that capacity, how has that influenced when you're working with non-students, for instance?
I really don't work with a lot of non-students.
Okay.
My website's very focused on dissertations or thesis. I have had one master's student. So I'm not looking for anybody else. And certainly I have one client that I helped through her dissertation, and I guess 5 or 6 years went by, and then she called me up. She says, I want to change professions. Can you help me? And I've been working with her. So she's really the only one that I work with. And it's really not that different. You got a goal. You've got steps towards that goal. You've got accountability to getting those things done. You've got emotional issues around all of that that we talk about. So it's really not a whole lot of difference. It's just a very focused goal with these students.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned I was at the TCC conference as well. Did you sit in on the one with the gentleman who was talking about the providing coaches to students that are going through like college and stuff like that?
The Rice guy?
Yes.
Yes.
It's really fascinating. There's a huge research studies around like students who had a coach and didn't have a coach, and like how improved like their mental health, all their stress levels, all these things like completely changed by having somebody in their corner that like brought up all the best things that you just mentioned, helping you stay accountable, talking through your emotions around it, right? Because you're doing this pretty stressful life accomplishment, but it's so stressful that you maybe forget about all the other things that are important in that journey.
Yeah. And to my clients, I talk about sleep, I talk about exercise, I talk about all those things that are going to make you the healthiest individual to finish this thing.
Yeah.
So needed.
Yeah.
So needed today, whether you're a student or not.
Right.
I mean, my gosh. So Susan, I was just looking at your blog too about Alaska and bears. I keep seeing flying salmon in my head and bears in Alaska for some reason.
Yeah.
This is a passion. How does that, what is it about nature? I mean, and the wildlife that calls to you, and how do you incorporate that into your business?
Well, since we're retired, we try to travel, take 2 or 3 trips a year. And the Alaska one, for some reason, just called to me to write about it. I mean, we've been to Italy since, and the Italy one was just like old churches and old cities, and that's all I remember. But somehow nature was much more focused about things I could remember, and it's just renewing. I talk about to my clients too. Go for a walk, for Pete's sake. Take a break, go for a walk, be outside, listen to the birds sing. And even if it's just in your neighborhood, it's even better if you can get out into the wilderness, but it just feeds me. And I really, when I look at trips, I'm less interested in going to cities than I am to going to parks or natural parks, national parks, or something like that.
All right. And what it's giving you, you're taking back, it's a sense of renewal, as you said, re-energizes you, and then you're able to bring that into your business, into your practice.
Except that we went to Disney World last week, and that was fun too.
Well, that's a city, but it's a fake city. So
yeah, oh my gosh, they did such a good job of immersion in these fantastic, weird worlds that is just so much fun.
Yeah. So you touched on it a little bit, but I'm curious, what is now, you said, you don't need it. So what is your favorite thing about coaching, and maybe your favorite type of client or person that, if you could pitch to somebody and you'd be like, if you're listening, I'm the person for you?
Well, I must say that personally, I really like it when some client says, that was so helpful.
Yes.
I'm in it for the appreciation.
I love it.
I'll be honest about that. But no, I really do love and want for clients to start the hour at one or half hour at one point and end feeling better. So a client yesterday was just freaking out because I don't have time. And in the middle of, as we went through her day, we found some time for her to break away from work and actually do some more dissertation stuff or writing. And that's the kind of thing that I find so gratifying, is if I can really help a client get off the ledge and actually find what they're looking for. And some clients you can't. I actually asked one client, "Are you sure you don't? I think you need a therapist." I mean, I can do my little bit about what I think you need, but I'm not a therapist. And
Right.
So he's taking a break, and we'll see. I'm hoping that will help him out. Some of the things I couldn't do it.
That is such an important, sorry, Susan, that's such an important point, because, I go through that with clients or prospective clients. I mean, the whole thing with some people either don't understand after I've clearly laid out the difference between counseling and coaching, or I'm working with someone who I believe absolutely should be in therapy. Oh, no, but I don't like therapists. I love working with you. You're helping me much more. Okay, but this is now not my expertise, and I would like you to see someone else. You know, it's interesting. What are your feelings about that, and where we're heading in the coaching industry? And because it's growing, and there are certain aspects of counseling, although they're completely different branches, that coaching touches on.
Well, I really think you need to understand what your training is and what therapy training is. And
right.
and I'm not trained as a therapist. I thought about it back in the day when I was 40 and trying to decide what I wanted to do and to change my life. But that's my biggest issue. It's just training. I just don't have the training. And there's things that, and I certainly don't want to go there because I don't have it.
Right.
You know, as far as the future of coaching, I'm not really into that. You young people, figure it out.
Right. Well, it's a booming industry, Susan. I mean, it's very exciting, right? And there's so many of us with our different backgrounds and expertise and structures and schooling. And so it's fascinating. No, it's completely different than counseling. We all are very aware of that. And we do our best to tell people who might want to work with us of that difference. And either that's going to work for them or not, or, you know, but it's very clear from our end. I just find it interesting that still people who are not coaches or counselors who are looking to hire either of those two, still, my experience is that they want to meld. Well, you can do that, can't you? No. As I just said, this is clearly this, and that is clearly that. So
well, and I think that unfortunately, and I really, really mean unfortunately, I think counseling has gotten a bad rep for. Because many, many years ago, you were broken if you needed a therapist. And I think that hangs on way too much now.
Yeah.
It's totally not true, but people have it in the back of their heads that, well, I'd rather see a coach because that's got more cachet than being a counselor means I'm broken. So digging into those preconceived notions can be helpful, I think.
yes.
Yeah.
Great point.
And to that point, right? I mean, I know we're all part of the ICF community. I'm taking my ACC exam on Friday.
Yay.
Really excited about that. But that's part of like the ethics and the core competencies, right? Is explaining what those differences are and making sure that we're supporting our clients. I often tell my clients, you can have a lot of tools in your toolkit, right? If you need a therapist, there's totally nothing wrong with that. They can help you in this way, and then I can help you this way, right?
Exactly.
To me, it's like, how many tools can I fill my toolkit with? And that's what's cool about it, is like, to me, there's no like limit to it, right? If I add more, I learn more, I find something else out. On that note, though, I know you're a PCC. Any interest in going for an MCC?
Not interested. I don't have the hours. I don't coach enough. Although this last year, I've got way more clients than I've ever had. It's fun, but I always said, 4 clients is all I want. Now I have 6, and I'm going, maybe I can do 6. So,
Nice.
I don't know what's going on. This kind of, my business is kind of cyclical because students figure out in May, September, and sort of mid-semester, dang, I needed to get this thing done and I didn't. So maybe I need some help. So that's when I get the biggest lift of people inquiring about coaching, and some hire me and some don't, and that's great. Not
everyone is for everyone, which is exactly the point. Not every person who might hire us is going to listen to how we're differentiating with what we were just talking about between counseling and coaching. So then, they'll move on to a counselor if that's what they really want. So there's so much that we can control, and the whole idea of not trying to control, which is so huge. Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, how when you're going for your dissertation, that's for your doctoral degree. I mean, how long does that generally take a person, if one can generalize?
Yeah, it all just depends. When I was working at UT in the Communication Studies department, they set up a year to do it. And some people can do it in a year. It really takes more closely to a calendar year to do it. So you really need to start the summer. Some students take the summer off, and I'm going, oh, don't do that. You do your comps the last semester, just roll right into your dissertation. Yeah. And so take the calendar year, but it can be done in a year. But there's so many things that can get people off track. Family things, personal health things, advisor things, topic things. There's just so many things that can get you off track. If it's perfect, sure, you can do it in a year. It took me a year and a half. So
oh, sorry, Claudia, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, then the journey, then you working with a dissertation student is that full time? Is that period of time? Does it start? I'm just interested in your process and for people to know. You start with them a few months before that?
So it depends on when they call me. I mean, some of them have been working on it for years before they call. And some of them haven't looked at it in 2 years before they call. And then their deadlines are starting to creep up on them. And they say, oh, I'd like to get this thing done. And I spent all this money, all this time. I really should get this thing done. So that's when they call. And that's great because some of them just need a push to get started. And then once they get rolling, they're fine. And I had one client who seemed to be really rolling along. And I said, well, do you want to continue with the coaching? She went, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm rolling and I need somebody there to stay with me. And I go, okay, that's great. We're good. Yeah. So it just depends on the student as to what they need. And sometimes it's scheduling. Sometimes I just need somebody to talk through how I'm feeling about working with this. Sometimes it's actually I need to talk through the research. And I always make it really clear I am not their advisor. I don't know their theories. I don't know their research methods. I don't know those things. But sometimes it helps to have an educated person who sort of understands what they're talking about, just to bounce ideas off of. And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to go, and what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are thinking partners.
Yes.
Yeah. That is
and
absolutely.
They always have an idea, but for some reason they're not letting that come up until somebody asks them, well, what do you think? And then I ask them questions about, well, why is that better than the other way? And those kinds of things, and they'll work it out.
Writing can be hard. That whole process is incredibly hard, but I know you've mentioned a couple of times it's a passion of yours, and you mentioned earlier that you wrote a book. Can you tell us about that process?
Get my little book. Let's see, let's put it over here. It is called Dear Dissertation Writer: Stories, Strategies, and Self-Care Tips to Get Done. I don't know if you see a little picture. This is a very sad little writer here.
wait, put it closer.
And there's a very happy little dissertation. And these are doctoral robes on this little character. I have to thank Janine Warren for these drawings because they are just precious. And they're all through the book. Because I just wanted this to be fun.
I was just going to say, we have to add the lightness to life. My gosh, or everything is so heavy, as the three of us here know. And that's what your picture is. I mean, when I think dissertation, I would have no interest in ever going down that road. God bless humans that do. But yes, the lightness to the heaviness.
Yeah. And so I kind of wrote it in a coachy way. So I'd say things, and then I'd write questions about, well, what do you think about blah, 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 and that kind of stuff. And it's doing pretty well. I mean, again, I'm not making boatloads of money off of it. But one of the things that I did say when I wrote this book is when I retired from Communication Studies department at UT, I started a graduate fellowship. Well, it's not a fellowship yet because it doesn't have enough money in it, but it's a graduate. It's a pot of money that the department can give grad students for various things, like for research or for travel or that kind of stuff. And so every year I donate money to it. And I promise that any money I make off of that it goes to the fellowship
Love
too.
that.
And someday it'll have
Wow.
money in it to be called a fellowship. But right now I forget what they call it. They have names.
That's amazing. I love that. I love giving back, right? I think obviously as a coach, you've dedicated this whole career of yours to helping others and giving back. And what an honorable way to live a life, right? To help others grow and achieve success and take that back seat of like, yeah, you got this, and cheerlead, like cheerlead them along the way.
I would really like for somebody to actually read the book and send me an email and say, hey, this helped me, blah, 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 because I have not heard anybody back.
If you're out there and you've read her book, send an email.
As I said, I'm in it for the appreciation. So.
Yes, I like it. I like it.
I love that honesty. I'm in it for the appreciation.
Yeah.
Bring it in.
That's so funny. I have often thought about like, why do I love coaching so much? And I think it's not that. It's like watching people's lives change is so amazing to me, and having them have like those sparks. But I also always get tickled when they're like, when they keep coming back, because I'm newer to coaching, and they're like, Vanessa, I needed to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, it's like, so it just makes me giddy. Like, oh, I'm helping somebody.
The long-term client that I was telling you about who went away and came back, and she says, I hear your voice in my head.
Yeah, I know.
I love it.
A client of mine had said that, and it just feels so good because we're giving. It's the whole idea of that's what it's about. It's giving, and is when you receive the most. And I think that's what we love as coaches. Certainly. One of the
Susan, it has been such a pleasure speaking with you. I feel like we could talk for hours. We try to keep these short, but I mean, man, such a rich conversation.
Yes.
Is there anything that besides, please, if you read her book, send her an email, tell her how great it is. Besides that, anything you'd like our listeners to know as we wrap out? How can they reach out to you and contact you?
Well, my website is corbindissertationcoaching.com, which is probably longer than any website developer would have told me to do it, but I didn't ask. So I'm working on a memoir about my granddaughter's heart transplant, but Lord knows how long that's going to take. And so I also have an author website, which is susancorbin.com.
All this, don't we?
Yeah.
We lost it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is a place to wrap up. I know we will make sure to link to her website so we can. I loved that conversation. You can tell her great personality, right? So
totally.
And
her gift. Joie de vivre. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The great spirit that you can see would so help anyone who she's coaching, but certainly a dissertation student.
Yes, definitely.
That was wonderful.
Before we break, we have so many awesome things coming up for the month of May. We have 2 sessions actually today. 5 superpowers to expand possibilities for performance, well-being, life satisfaction, refilling the coaching cup, self-care as development for coaching. On the 10th, we have team and group coaching. On the 11th, we have building and growing your brand. This Friday, we have a virtual coaching conversations. On the 18th, we have vertical leadership development series. It's a 4-part series. Exploration. The happy hour exploration of being and doing coaching. Understanding your client's emotional DNA for lasting transformation. Oh, man. These topics grab me every time. I'm like, I want to know about that.
I know there's so much going on. I wish I could make all of them, but I'll make what I can.
Yeah, which will lead us right into the summer months. So fun. Yeah, jam-packed month of May. Any other Claudia wisdom you'd like to share as we wrap up?
I mean, I wish that, wow, God, Claudia, wisdom. No, I don't, I'm a little blank right now. That was such a great conversation with Susan, as you were saying, Vanessa. Lots on my plate, as I know, with everyone. It's just too bad that we didn't get a chance to have her be able to kind of have a goodbye with us. Yeah. But I thought that was so helpful, and to get her point of view and perspective out there more in our community, I think is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's always lovely seeing you.
Likewise, Vanessa.
I look forward to our next one. Anybody
I do.
listening, we have opened up our slots. We want to record as many of these great podcasts. If nothing else, we get a kick out of them. And
We have a blast. Vanessa, soon it'll be like, I don't know, you and me with a glass of, although I don't drink, but something. We can have, there's going to be a drink somewhere. Like, what was that? Hoda and someone on NBC used to do a segment with wine. It was hilarious.
That's too funny. I could see it. I mean,
about that. But a coaching related, right?
Yeah.
A coaching related drink somehow. What would that be, Vanessa? I don't know.
Oh, fill your coaching cup.
Fill your coaching cup. Oh my God. And then every episode can be different. Well, my coaching cup is a matcha latte. That's how I fill myself up. Well, Vanessa, how do you fill yourself up? Oh, you spike your coffee. Oh, interesting.
That's okay. To each their own. This is a judgment-free zone.
Judgment-free. And I just made that up, audience. I just made that up, obviously.
So great seeing you. Until next time, I hope everybody has a great rest of their day and week. And again, I'm taking my ACC on Friday, man. I'm hoping I'm one and done.
I'm so excited. I'm taking mine in a month, Vanessa.
Woo! Yeah.
Yay for us.
We'll get this. We'll get this.
Yes.
I look forward to celebrating.
Me too. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Susan.
Bye.
Bye.